This is The Joe Gaither Show on BamaCentral.com.
Good morning, Tuscaloosa. Good morning, Tuscaloosa, Internet World, West Alabama. How we doing today on a Monday? It's the Joe Gaither Show on Bama Central, BamaCentral.com. Hope you and yours are doing well. You're watching us on the Bama Central YouTube channel, on the Bama Central Facebook page. You're listening to us on Apple Podcasts, Amazon, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. You can find the Joe Gaither Show on Bama Central. The program is brought to you by Derek Daniel State Farm Insurance. We appreciate Derek for hosting us on the program each and every day. You can call Derek for all of your insurance needs at 205-758-3391. Like a good neighbor, Derek Daniel is there. Call and see how much he can save you today. The program is also brought to you by Purple Turtle Roofing. You can call Purple Turtle Roofing for all of your roofing needs at 877-787-6635. They'll come out, give you a free roof inspection, make sure that your roof is good to go. I know it was a crazy weekend weather-wise across the entirety of the United States. Here in Alabama, not so crazy. A lot of rain on Sunday morning. I hope everybody stayed safe. Make sure you call Purple Turtle Roofing if you have concerns with your home. 877-787-6635. We hope everybody stayed safe over the weekend. What are we going to do today? We're going to hang out with our friend Theo Fernandez. You can find Theo Fernandez at Theo Fernandez _. We appreciate him hanging out and joining the show, writing all things Alabama for BamaCentral.com. You can read him right there at BamaCentral.com. We're going to talk about Alabama basketball. Disappointing night on Saturday, losing to Tennessee 79-73. We're going to talk about Alabama's offensive line coach. Alabama dismissing Chris Kapilovic on Friday night, or the two sides mutually parting ways. You can call it fired. You can call it resignation. You can call it whatever you like. But the point is that Chris Kapilovic is not going to be back with the Crimson Tide. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about the potential candidates. I think that Alabama has zeroed in on one or two. Unfortunately, not Sam Pittman. We'll talk about one or two of the candidates for the Crimson Tide as well. So that's going to be the game plan for the day. We invite you to jump in on the voicemail line. I got a voicemail from our friend Hunter Brantley. You can call on the voicemail line at 205-462-7340, extension 800. You could be a part of the program like that, or leave us a comment on the YouTube channel like Keith Connell did. Hey, gang, roll tide. Good morning, Keith. I hope you're doing well, sir. You can do that on the Facebook page, on Bama Central, at Joe Gaither 6, on the YouTube side of things. We invite any comments that you like. With that, good morning. How we doing?
I'm doing great, Joe. I am. Look, I'm a little disappointed in the weather. They spent so much time at WVUA hyping me up for a real winter storm, and then all that just for nothing. But
do they not have the radar over there? I know y'all got a great weatherman.
Hey, we have student meteorologists on the weekend, and I don't know. But hey, I mean, Richard Scott was predicting stuff all week. There were a lot of not so happy comments from people in town directed at these meteorologists, which, that's like threatening a ref after a bad call. Like, it's not good. Meteorologists do not control the weather, but man, I'm a little disappointed by the lack of snow.
Well, I have the Weather Channel app on my phone, and was watching it pretty much throughout the week, just trying to check and see what it was going to be, because I've got a lot of friends that live in Tennessee, that live up in in Missouri and Chicago, just all across the country. My friend in Philly sent me pictures of his snow there. It was pretty thick right there. But I noticed all week long it was just wet on Sunday, not cold enough to really do anything. Now overnight, Sunday night, Monday morning, where we're waking up, it did get fairly cold in West Alabama, into the 20s. So you did break below freezing, but it was never going to be that problematic. Regardless, wherever you're listening to the show, we hope you're safe. We hope you're doing well, because the show reaches a lot of places. So if you're listening to us on a snow day today, I really appreciate you for doing that. Stay warm, stay dry. Hope you got plenty of food in the pantry. Don't Don't call DoorDash today. Get creative. Don't call Uber Eats today. Get creative in your pantry. Make yourself some food. I know you can do that. Find yourself a good movie. Listen to the Joe Gaither Show. Share it with your other bored friends, and we'll all get through this winter weather A-OK. See, what I want to start. What do you want to start with today? Do you want to start with basketball or do you want to start with football? Because you got two different stories to kind of get after. Obviously, the basketball game on Saturday, how Charles Bediako did. I wasn't too far off on my Charles Bediako stat line prediction, but obviously Alabama did lose, and we thought that they would win either way. Bediako playing 25 minutes. We can go right there, or we can talk about Alabama's offensive line coach and everything that happened on Friday evening.
Let's start with football. Just, we've led up to that so much in this last week, right? We previewed it. We talked about, will it happen? Will it not happen? And then sure enough, Friday afternoon, we get the news that Chris Kapilovic will not be back as the offensive line coach of Alabama.
Yeah, and so the Alabama Online folks rejoiced because, look, it was probably the worst offensive line that I have seen going all the way back to before Coach Saban was here. It is really where my memories are. You just didn't have any drive off the football. You only averaged like 100 yards rushing per game, and that was including your couple of non-power forward games where you put up some outlier numbers. And so really, really disgusting running the football this season. A lot of people, is it the blame on the offensive line? Is it the blame on the running backs? Is it the blame on the scheme? What's the problem? Well, regardless, you couldn't run the football. And you protected Ty Simpson okay, not perfectly, but okay this past season. You ended up giving up a handful of sacks. Let's see, I wrote it down in the article that I wrote about Chris Kapilovic getting moved on. 32 sacks this season for the Crimson Tide's offensive line, which is really not great. 32 sacks in 15 games or whatever it was it was not great, because you had some games where you didn't give up a sack, but you had some games where it was just Ty Simpson pressure left and right. The Oklahoma game comes to mind. The SEC championship game comes to mind. You couldn't pass off stunts. You didn't communicate well. You got bullied. You got worked on some speed rushes. Really, Caden Proctor getting worked on some speed rushes. You had a lot of guys that struggled to deal with power. Really, the offensive line was not good. And was the problem on the offense, because everybody talks about, well, Ty regressed. Well, Ty got injured and got dinged up and played through it. If Ty didn't get injured, I wonder how his season continues, or how it finished up. And if you could run the football, I wonder how much pressure it would have taken off of Ty Simpson. But you couldn't actually run the football at all. It's 3rd and 1. You couldn't line up and get a yard, period. You ended up doing speed sweeps with Lozier Brooks. You were doing all kinds of play action passes to try to open up some things in the passing game. Just not good in short yardage situations. So Alabama and Chris Kapilovic part ways after 2 seasons. And I think that we said right when the portal opened, okay, I don't think that there's going to be a coaching change until the portal is closed. Then the portal got closed, and there still was no coaching changes. You had a little bit of high school recruiting this past week, and then at the end of the week, they end up mutually parting ways with Chris Kapilovic, or it's announced that he's not returning on staff. So he is officially looking for a new job, and Alabama is looking to hire a new offensive line coach. Let's pause the story right there, Theo, and just get your reaction to where we are. With now it is official. You don't have an offensive. You're moving on from the offensive line coach from last season. Underwhelming group up front. And your reaction is what?
Had to happen. That's basically where I'm at. I think you outlined every single problem that the line had. We talked about it ad nauseum all year. There was just no way that Kapilovic could have come back and had another year after what the line did. Really cool guy to talk to. Like him. Wish him the best in his future career. Just not the right guy for the job. And I think that, I think it's good to see DeBoer make a move, I guess. I was a little worried that maybe he was going to be a little too stuck to his guys, not want to make a move this early, and you can make the argument that, it's good for continuity. We don't want to make the change. He's just gotten his guys, and you can make all those arguments, but at the end of the day, there needs to be a standard. You don't live up to it. There needs to be real pressure and real consequences. So I like this move a lot. I think it sends the right message, and I think that, everything I'm hearing, which we'll talk about Adrian Clem in a second, but everything I'm hearing about him makes me think that could really improve things on the line.
Yeah, I mean, the offensive line struggled in so many basic areas.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Every problem with the offense can be traced right back to that line.
Yeah, you struggled in basic areas. You couldn't get to the second level in the run game. You tripped over your feet a lot of times. The offensive line played with bad pad level, bad hips, bad pad level, and that led to bad feet. The offensive line routinely, pick your favorite or your least favorite. Didn't matter which offensive lineman it was, would get to contact, would create contact, and virtually to a man. Their feet would die on contact, and then it would just become a stalemate. Can I hold my position against said defensive lineman or linebacker or whoever? Can I hold my position? And it really, I think, junked up the running game. I don't think that Alabama had bad running backs this season. I don't think he had an elite running back. There was no Josh Jacobs. There was no Najee Harris. There was no Derrick Henry. There was none of those types in the running back room, and they had their own injuries as well. Obviously, Jam dealing with injuries pretty much the whole year. Daniel Hill dealing with injuries different times in the year. Kevin Riley busting his jaw, dealing with injuries at different times this year. So it wasn't like that room was amazing either, but I don't think they were bad. I don't think that they were bad running backs. I think that most of the SEC programs would have taken some of Alabama's running backs and played them. Really, like, you just don't have to. You don't have to look much further than you can't run the football at all. And then you look to Ty Simpson, and he's a first-year starting quarterback who I think has some talent. I don't think he is the most talented quarterback you've ever seen, but I think that he's got some arm talent. I think he's got some brain talent as well. But when you're operating out of basically one half of the playbook, the passing plays, because you can't run the football and you can't move the ball with consistency, you're trying to stay out of 3rd and 10. You're trying to stay into 3rd and manageable. Like, it just became harder and harder and harder on Ty Simpson. And I believe that the offensive line was the biggest issue on the offense throughout the entire season. I mean, you saw it with the rotations of players, and they were talking about, we're trying to keep the guys fresh. We're trying to keep the guys healthy. And I think that's a load of hooey, because you don't see that really anywhere. You don't see that really. Most teams, especially successful teams, have their 5 offensive linemen, and they play them. Maybe there's a 6th. Maybe there's a 6th that comes in sometimes on some packages, and certain things happen. But you played Caden Proctor, Parker Brailsford, you played Michael Carroll, Wilkin Formby, Cam Dewberry, you played Gino Vandermark, you played William Sanders, you played everybody and their mother on this offensive line, and it still didn't matter about creating more holes or opening things up, and I don't really think you found a combination of 5 that was even adequate in pass protection. I think that they were okay on any given rep, but I think every single rep in pass protection, you were worried, well, who's going to give up the sack? Well, who's going to not get who's going to not pick up the crosser? Who's going to not pick up the looper or the stunt? Is everybody's eyes going to be in the right position? I think you were going into every offensive snap concerned and nervous about where the breakdown was going to come, because it always came. It was always a breakdown. You couldn't run the football with any consistency, and I think you were pretty concerned protecting Ty Simpson down in and down out So I agree with you, and Keith Connell says it as well. It had to happen. Theo preaching the words of righteousness from the good book of Bama. It did have to happen. And I think that when Kalen DeBoer looked himself in the mirror and thought about, do I make any changes? I think this was an obvious one, Theo.
I agree. I mean, not to be too critical on you here, but I have to call out one of just the probably worst takes I heard during the season. I heard it on message boards, I heard it on Twitter, and I heard it from you. The notion that part of the reason we were rotating players was because we were worried about some of those guys transferring out at the end of the year. Look how far that got us. I mean, the fact that that was a real conversation that we had to have, like, oh, maybe this is why it's happening. No, it all came down to the fact that there was not a good combination of five guys. We were not giving reps to players on a team that was competing for a national championship because we're like, oh, we really want this depth guy to return next season. Look where it got you. I mean, all those guys are in the portal now anyway. So it just was not a great unit. Numerous reasons for that. Kapilovic needed to go. That's where I'm going to leave it. And there should be much, much higher expectations for this offensive line next year.
All right, so before we get into offensive line candidates, and it does seem like Alabama has zeroed in on at least one, I'll ask you, is this the last assistant coaching move we're going to see, or will there be another today, tomorrow, the next couple of days? Will there be more changes over the next few days?
I'm going to lean yes, this is the last fire we're going to get. I think that you can make a case for Gillespie. I think you can make that argument, but you already made the running back. You already made the O-line move now, so it's like, okay, may as well. I see the argument of giving Gillespie another year with the running backs. I like Roach. I think that the stuff he does as far as the recruiting and the culture stuff is just so massive where, yeah, you can look over some maybe disappointing performances. I'm okay with keeping him, and I would like to see Jay Nunez gone, but I just don't know if that's a move that we'll see made this year.
Yeah, I think those three are your three other candidates. I believe you could talk me into either way on all three of them. I think you could talk me into retaining all three of them for different reasons. Recruiting being probably the main reason for both Freddie Roach and Robert Gillespie, because I do think that both those guys bring a certain element on the recruiting trail that really helps the staff and really helps the program. I think that Robert Gillespie's had some fine running backs here. I don't think that you've had that's the best running back ever at Alabama type running back like you have through a lot of the early Saban years and mid Saban years as well. I think that maybe you might have that in this coming up backfield when you see A.K. Deere and E.J. Crowell together. I think Daniel Hill is a good running back. I think Daniel Hill is a nice B-plus kind of a running back. I think that that Kevin Riley is also about a B-plus type of running back at his max. I'd like to see Kevin Riley get a little bit of more weight on him so that he can, be more durable. But I would like to. I think that your running back room looks like you might have top-end talent in this room since when? Since Jahmyr Gibbs was here? I mean, Jahmyr was amazing and wasn't always used the right way by Bill O'Brien. But from Jahmyr to now, you haven't really had, that's the best running back in the SEC kind of a running back in the Alabama running back room. And you routinely had that for a decade under Coach Saban and all his running back coaches. So I do think that talent makes a coach look better, duh. And I don't know that Robert Gillespie has had quite the talent that previous running backs coaches have had, and I do think maybe he does in 2026. So I think E.J. Crowell is a special running back. I think A.K. Deere can be a special running back. and we'll see about the rest of the group. I think the rest of the group kind of gives you some complementary aspects. Kevin Riley in the passing game, Daniel Hill in a power type of situation. I think both those guys can give you something. So I think I would be, if you did gun to my head, make a choice. I'm keeping Robert Gillespie.
Yeah.
Freddie Roach, again, I think you could talk me into either way, but you brought in a huge freshman class numbers-wise from defensive linemen. You brought in a bunch of defensive linemen in the class of 2026. Kamarion Johnson, Jamarian Matthews, like those two guys right off the top of my dome. You've got the kid from Nolan Wilson, the young man from Mississippi. You ended up with Malik Franklin as well. Like a lot of the defensive linemen that have come in that look, somewhat talented. The issue is there's not like a huge, this guy's going to be a star type defensive lineman. I think that Freddie Roach showed you last year with London Simmons that, hey, I can go scout and I can go find defensive linemen. Because I think London Simmons developed last season. I think London Simmons got here in the summer, bought into the program, started developing right as soon as he got on campus, and obviously injuries. Jeremiah Beeman helped him get on the field, but he passed Isaiah Faga real quick. He passed basically Edric Hill real quick. I think that there is development in the defensive line room. I think there's been maybe some. I think there's maybe been some. How's the best way to say it? Personality is not quite the right way. I don't know if there's been some great fits in the defensive line room, and you've seen that with the turnover over the last couple of years. I mean, turnover again this year with you ended up with what's the young man who went to South Carolina? Kelby Collins transferring out. You have Keon Keeley transferring out. You had a lot of guys, a handful of guys transfer out from this team. I just wonder if you've gotten the right fit. I think when you get a right guy like London Simmons, you see him blossom. I think Jeremiah Beeman was going to be a pretty special player this past season, ended up getting hurt. And is that Freddie Roach's fault? I don't think that's Freddie Roach's fault. I'm looking forward to seeing what Terrence Green can do out of the transfer portal with Oregon. I think that's a pretty good get. I'm looking forward to seeing what Caleb Wilson, right, the young man from Washington, by way of Parker, can bring to the program. I think Freddie Roach has a lot of aspects that you like from a coaching staff. So I would also make the case to keep him. I think just because of the development of some of the younger players, and I think you want to just keep seeing I'm really excited about Steve Baldwin-Boumois. I think that if he can ever get it to click, then he will be a really good player for Alabama. So I'd also be in the camp to keep Freddie Roach. And then Jay Nunez, I agree with you, is another one that's like you can make a case for either way. But do missed kicks go under Jay Nunez's record?
Allowing a punt to be blocked does, and, not getting anything out of the punt return game does, and allowing big returns does. And I just think there was a lot that happened overall over the body of work through the whole season that makes you think. I could see moving on from this guy.
I could see it as well. You didn't really have any big returns all year long. You gave up a kick return to Wisconsin. You missed you had a missed tackle on a punt return with Oklahoma. You ended up, I don't think you did bad in the punt return game because you secured the ball pretty much the whole year, but you also didn't get much out of that. I don't know. I don't know how much coaching comes into missed field goals, and obviously the missed field goals are the big glaring issue on the special teams. And maybe you fix that by bringing in Larkin Quinn from Marshall. So I think you can go either way. You brought in a guy from North Alabama to punt the ball. This year you have Alex Asparuhov. I'm not sure if you're just itching to make a change right there. Maybe you are, and maybe if you are, it makes sense. But I think a more measured approach is going to be to keep Jay Nunez because I don't think he's making a lot of money. And maybe that's not the right angle to take, but I don't think he's making a whole lot of money. And I think some of the issues you saw on special teams were more on the players than on Jay Nunez.
Yeah, I'm with you. I can go either way on those. I think Gillespie and Roach I lean towards keeping. Nunez I'd lean towards moving on from, but I can be talked either way.
Keith Connell, the preseason hype, was best offensive line in the country. Milroe was sacked 42 or 48 times the year before, wasn't he? I don't know the exact number, Keith, but you're exactly right. The pass protection under Chris Kapilovic the last 2 seasons has been bad. And the run game over the last 2 seasons, I mean, you can look at Jalen Milroe and say, look, they ran the ball okay. I think Jalen had some really nice numbers, but it was all his athleticism. It wasn't because the offensive line was paving the way. And in third and short yardage situations, they haven't been good for 2 seasons. Go ahead.
Keith, I mean, you know the game that Bama fans are going to play every offseason. It's, we're going to have a great offensive line. We're going to overcome all of these struggles. So, yeah, the performance was not great in 2023. The hype was there. This is a unit that, I mean, the Bama fans did it to themselves. Me and Joe have talked about, we're not going to hype up this offensive line the way people usually do. But there was an expectation that this was going to be an elite unit this year. And
we played I mean, Theo, I'll admit it. This past summer, I played a part into it as well because I was, look, you got Caden Proctor, Parker Brailsford, and Jaden Roberts, all SEC offensive linemen. You're going to be dominant. All you got to do, get a tackle. Who's going to play right tackle? I think we did that show 5 times. Who's going to play right tackle in the summer last year? And is Cam Dewberry? Who's going to play left guard? What's going to be the case at left guard? You're set everywhere else. You got blah, 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 and it just fell on your face. Yeah. They were a bottom 5 unit in the SEC.
Yeah, it was.
You got the SEC championship game with a bottom 5 unit on the offensive line. It's ridiculous. And everybody wants, Ty Simpson this, Ty Simpson that. Like, he did that, had a really solid first year starting behind an offensive line that you couldn't trust. Like, I bet you Ty Simpson walked up to every line and thought, well, which one of you jokers is going to get beat on a sack? Which one of you jokers do I have to mitigate by sliding this way, rolling that way, getting the ball out before I want to, playing with anticipation? I feel for Ty Simpson.
Yeah, that's completely where I'm at.
All right, so last thing on this, we talked about moving on from Chris Kapilovic. We talked about potentially moving on from other offensive line, other assistant coaches. Let's talk about the guy that Alabama has apparently zeroed in on. Pete Nakos on 3 Sports and a couple of other people have gone with it already. Apparently, Alabama has got their eyes on a man named Adrian Clem. Adrian Clem from Inglewood, California, 48 years old, played his college football at Hawaii, was a second-round draft pick, offensive line coach, was a second-round draft pick by the New England Patriots, 3-time Super Bowl winner, played with the Patriots, played with the Packers, played with the Oakland Raiders, and then began his coaching career with SMU, with his old coach, June Jones, from Hawaii to SMU. Was at SMU for a couple of years, offensive line coach, recruiting coordinator. That's the important part. A really, really highly rated recruiter. Then went to UCLA, still offensive line coach, recruiting coordinator, run game coordinator, associate head coach. And then from there was out of college football for just a little bit, went to the Pittsburgh Steelers, offensive line coach, assistant offensive line coach, and returned to college football or at Oregon, run game coordinator, assistant head coach, offensive line coach, then back to the pros with Bill Belichick on Bill Belichick's last staff in New England, 2023 offensive line coach, and then took a small leave of absence to a health issue, and now has been at Southern California, USC, as an offensive analyst. He's been an offensive or defensive analyst. He's listed as an analyst on Southern Cal's websites. I think he's just kind of in a senior role, and it seems like Alabama is zeroing in on him to be the next offensive line coach. Just obviously, we can get into his accolades, get into some of the guys he's coached, get into some of the statistics that he has had. Particularly, what's particularly impressive is his offensive lines in his tenure have not given up tons of sacks. I haven't been eye-popping in the run game numbers, but the sacks and the pass protection numbers look pretty nice. So, Theo, what do you make about Adrian Clem being the next target for the Crimson Tide?
I like it. Veteran who's been around, and he's gotten good reviews everywhere he's gone. There's nobody that I could find that had anything negative to say about him. His offensive lines, like you alluded to, have played well. I have no problem whatsoever with this being the guy.
Yeah, gave up just 5 sacks in 13 games the last time he coached college with Oregon. So take that 34 sacks and make it 5 sacks. How much cleaner is Ty Simpson playing? How much better is he playing? Obviously, then we can talk about the wide receivers getting open if you wanted to, but it all starts with the offensive line. What I heard, Theo, over the weekend is that Alabama wants to take a professional approach to the offensive line, and that means if you look at the pro staffs, I bet your Giants had it this year. I know my Bears had it this year. Most of these pro staffs have 2 offensive line coaches. One guy that really make sure that the scheme is correct, make sure that the scheme is married with the other position groups, make sure that everybody's on the same page schematically and from an approach standpoint. And the other guy is much more of a technique coach. Your hips are too high, your pad level's too high, your hands aren't in the right position, whatever the case may be. And that's what has kind of been thrown out this weekend, is that Alabama will be hiring 2 offensive line coaches. One is the primary, and it sounds like Adrian Clem might be that primary coach with all his experience. And a second as more of a technique, as more of a in the dirt. I'm individually coaching each player. Hey, Billy, your steps aren't right. Hey, Charlie, you're not running your feet anymore. Like, we got to get your feet going. All kinds of things from a technique standpoint. So just your thoughts on maybe embracing a professional mindset, embracing a professional attitude or approach of having 2 offensive line coaches.
Yeah, so I was actually reading all about this over this past week. The New York Giants announcing that they probably would not be retaining their O-line coach, who had a really solid season. And then I'm like, wait, there's another guy who does all this work. And so, yeah, I kind of really got into all the kind of intangibles of what that means for a unit. And I absolutely think that it's, first of all, weird that all these massive colleges aren't doing it to start, right? Like, you'd think that why doesn't just about every college already have this when you think about how much of, any kind of innovation or any kind of, we want as much staff as possible. We want to make sure that this really important position is as set as possible. Why only have one? It feels trivial. Why only have one guy? So I absolutely think it's a no-brainer.
Well, you think about the offensive line. You're like, oh, there's just one position. I mean, that's total hooey. You have 2 tackles, and they both do a little bit something different. All right, so tackle is a position. You have 2 guards, and they both do something pretty similar, but still, it's right and left. So, all right, there's another position. And the center. So you have at least 3 positions in the offensive line group. Like, what other positions? Like, you talk about defensive backs, you've got a safeties coach and a corners coach. Usually, you talk about inside linebackers. Well, you're just coaching the 2 inside linebackers if you're doing that. You talk about Christian Robinson. Well, you're just coaching the Wolves if you're doing that. You're not coaching inside backers, right? So it's very interesting that in all these other positions, defensive line, Freddie Roach has really got 3 guys. He's got bandit, nose, and 3 technique, right? And that's a little bit of a multiple situation. But he's got Jamie Mosley, and he's got other kind of staffers that help him right there. Wide receivers, you do have the three positions, X, Z, and Y, or X, Z, and H, basically. And so you've got a little bit of uniqueness in each of those, but nuances in each of those positions. But you think about the offensive line and just how important it is. I think that if Alabama, and look, the reason that you're able to pull it off now and you weren't able to pull it off 5 years ago is the relaxed rules in college football with on-field coaches and who can go recruit and who can be on the field and who can be at practice. And so, 3 years ago they relaxed the on-field restrictions for practice. I think is what it was. And so you did get some restrictions relaxed that opens the door for this. I think that this is if Coach DeBoer can pull this off, I think it's a great move because it shows like the whole system starts up front. And for the last 2 seasons, Jalen Milroe, Ty Simpson year, it doesn't matter your favorite quarterback. The last 2 seasons, the offense has not looked nearly consistent enough. You had a lot of big plays with Jalen Milroe, and I think that Ty Simpson was fine in the passing game in a lot of ways, but it was very inconsistent. It was not very. I don't think it was very efficient either year. And so you've got to get more efficient on the offensive line and in the offense. And if it takes getting 2 coaches to replace 1 or 2 coaches, let's get extra attention on these guys and extra development on these guys, especially with what you invested in the position room. In the transfer portal, you brought in 6 different offensive linemen for the transfer portal. Let's coach them up. You bring in a handful of freshmen, and then last year's freshman class was pretty highly rated. You got to coach them up. You can't just let them go figure it out. And if the position room is too large for a coach to be to have adequate attention to detail, then go get a second coach. I'm really in favor of this.
Yeah, that's a good use of money. It is absolutely pay whatever it costs to bring in a second coach. No quarrels about spending that money there.
So I think you'll see in the next 24 to 72 hours, Adrian Clem being announced as Alabama's next offensive line coach. But I also think that you should leave it in the back of your mind that there might be a second offensive line coach also coming to the staff to work on technique, to make sure that Adrian Clem has all of his bases covered, basically to help him and have a two-headed kind of coaching staff in that particular room. So a lot of people, you can be happy. I know everybody was waiting on Chris Kapilovic to be fired. Everybody can celebrate this whole week as Alabama is going to have a new offensive line coach very, very soon.
Yes, they will.
All right, Theo, let's flip to basketball and let's tell everybody about Purple Turtle Roofing. The show is proudly brought to you by Purple Turtle Roofing. At Purple Turtle Roofing, we're not just another contractor. We're your neighbor and your advocate when it comes to protecting your home or business. With years of hands-on experience, top-tier certification, and a commitment to excellence, we've built a reputation as Alabama's go-to roofing solution. We specialize in residential roofing, commercial roofing, emergency storm repairs, full-on roof replacements, insurance claim support, and more. You can call them today at 877-787-6635 for all of your roofing needs. Brax Garrison, Dustin Foley, his whole team will come out and give you a free roof inspection today. Make sure that you don't have any cracks. Make sure that all your shingles are in the right place. You're not missing any shingles. Make sure that you have the peace of mind that you deserve in your home. Call them today at 877-787-6635. All right, Theo, let's kick off the basketball discussion from the voicemail line. I'm 95% sure that is what Hunter Brantley called about. Alabama losing to Tennessee 79-73. You can call the voicemail line at 205-462-7340, extension 800. Numbers in the bottom of the screen right here. We would love to take your thoughts on Alabama's offensive line situation, on their coach, on the basketball stuff. They're playing Missouri tomorrow, seeing if they can't bounce back at home. But here is Hunter Brantley on the voicemail line.
I'm so disappointed, man. So disappointed. I couldn't even call in last night. That's how disappointed I was in this team. I have to make this call on Sunday. 5 in a row. 5 in a row to that throw-up orange. What is going on? The empire is crumbling. It's starting to crumble. Don't let it crumble, Nate. Don't let it crumble, dude. You've done a fantastic job. Don't let what you built up just go by the wayside like this. Don't let it happen. Don't let it happen. Please. You have built this program up to the best it's ever been in my lifetime. And I'm grateful for that. Please do not let this stuff end like this. I'm begging you. Regroup and please get everybody healthy. We're good. We're good. However, I think it's time to consider having Taylor Bolbowen arrested because that dude does absolutely nothing on the basketball court. 5 rebounds, and he played 33 minutes. And he got absolutely torched, cooked, and baked, fried, you name it, by Nate Amen. Nate Amen made him as you-know-what. Really everyone that guarded Nate Amen. Torched him. Every single one. Had no answer for him. Which I guess that's what happened when your best defender is out for the game. So I shouldn't be that surprised at it. But, I mean, dang, dog. No answer for him whatsoever. I mean, absolutely zero. And that was the most baffling part about it. I thought we played pretty decent. I thought Chuck played pretty decent in the first half. I thought our team was decent in the first half. We were in a good spot. But, yeah, this is frustrating, man. It really is. I'm sick and tired of checking the injury report the day before a game and seeing people doubtful when we haven't heard anything about them all week long. It's been crickets on the injury front until the day before the game and game of. And then it's like, oh, my gosh, we got people out. And it's just mind-boggling. I still don't understand it. Go. But, man, 3-3 in the league, 3-3. Probably not going to win the SEC anymore. Good thing it's January. We can clean some stuff up. I'm still sick and tired of seeing Noah Williamson check into the ball game with like 8 minutes to go in the second half, 2 minutes to go in the game. That's really starting to really piss me off. It makes me want to gouge my eyes out when Jalil Bethea and Noah Williamson are on the court at the same time. Because that should never happen, ever. But, hey, we got Missouri on Tuesday night at 7 o'clock. We got to regroup. We got to bounce back big time.
Don't let it crumble, Nate. Do not let it crumble. I mean, a lot of reasons to be upset about that basketball game that was had. Quite frankly, it's a day. First of all, 3 freshmen scored 40 points in games. So I'm coming into this against saying that, and I'm thinking, what is this man going to do? And there we have it, 29 points, gets whatever he wants against this team. And, yeah, Bolbowen did not rise to the moment. Bolbowen, that was a disappointing basketball game.
Yeah, pretty challenging game on Saturday. Alabama losing 79-73 and down the stretch, really getting out rebounded. And really, as you and Hunter Brownlee eloquently stated, no answer at all for Nate Ament scoring 18 second half points. 18 points this guy. He was 7 of 12 from the floor in the second half. So he only missed 5 shots. It was one of one from the 3-point line in the second half. I think he's 2 of 3 for the entire game. Just absolutely, y'all said it, torched Alabama. He had no answer. And I'm sick and tired of Theo of doing that. Well, if they would have had Amari Allen and Aiden Holloway, it would have been different. But like, it's still a fact. It's still truth that, if you would have had Amari Allen and Aiden Holloway, the game would have been different. But it wasn't. And the injuries and the unavailability is a massive theme for the entire team. So, like, I don't know how realistic it is to expect us to get to late April, March, late March, early April, I don't know how realistic it is to get to expect to get to those points and think, oh yeah, well the team's going to be healthy. Keaton Bristow is going to come back and he's not going to get injured again. Davion Hannah is going to get his medical issue figured out. You saw Latrell played his you-know-what off. Left the game for just a little bit, then came back. Latrell's been in and out of the lineup. I don't know how realistic it is to expect the team to get to 100% health or even 90% because Collins isn't going to play the rest of the year. Collins, they're probably going to redshirt him. So there's at least one that you're out with. And I mean, you haven't had him basically the whole year. Davion is still pretty much questionable if he's going to return. Keaton Bristow with his leg injury, we'll see if he can return either. And then are you going to get Amari Allen healthy? Because word was, ended up popping up with the flu. Okay, well, Aiden Holloway, wrist issue. Aiden's had a wrist issue damn near the entire year.
Yeah.
He going to be back for March Madness? No. He might be, but is that something you can expect? I don't think it's fair to say anymore this year, we'll wait till this team gets healthy.
Yeah.
There's really no signs of the team actually getting healthy and staying healthy.
It's happened all year. I love seeing the people will post the Alabama basketball practice, and then it's the NFL biggest hits compilation. Yeah, it's you had a week off. You had a week off, and then we last minute find out that these guys won't play. It's unacceptable. I mean, it's disappointing to see with this team. And you look at this game, right, and you can say I think this team wins it with Aiden Holloway, because I really do. I think they win this game with Holloway or Amari Allen. I think one of those two would have been enough. Will you get them? And when they come back, will LeBaron and Philon start cramping up again? It's just something is always going to be going on with this team. Someone is always going to be unavailable. It's not. We're 3.5 months into the season now. We've seen it the whole year. Disappointing.
Well, LeBaron gives you 26. 26 points, 7 assists, 4 rebounds. And I thought LeBaron was pretty good. Pretty good.
The shots weren't falling for him. But he still found ways to make 7 of 20 from the field. He still found ways to make something happen offensively.
Ended up pretty efficient at the free throw line, 10 of 11 from the free throw line. But I think you've ended up not getting anything from Jaleel Bethea. His toe injury preseason put him behind in learning the flow of the offense. And so 2 points for Jaleel Bethea on 7 minutes, 1 of 3. You're expecting a lot more out of him than you've seen this whole season. I thought that Houston Millette, he's fine. Houston gave you 8 rebounds, 5 offensive rebounds, but 1 of 2 from shooting. Missed his only free throw of the game. And for a little bit of time, he was for a little bit of time in this season, he hadn't missed a free throw. He was 100% from the line for a while, and then he's kind of been a little more inconsistent. You're not getting anything offensively from that second group of guys. I mean, Taylor Bobo and 8 points, whatever, that's fine. But you didn't have a 20-point effort from Aiden Sherrill like you've had the last couple of weeks. Jaleel Bethea gave you basically nothing. London Jemison gave you basically nothing. Noah Williamson, basically nothing. And so it's basically, LeBaron, save us. LeBaron and Latrell, can y'all save us? Oh, Latrell, you're not quite 100%. Can you save us, please, still? And so I think you miss Amari Allen, you miss Aiden Holloway, and it really, really, really throws a wrench into your offense because of just how hot Aiden Holloway is. He stretches the floor so much because you've got to get out and guard him. Opens up the lane more for LeBaron, opens up the lane for Latrell, and then same with Amari Allen. Been such a good slasher this year, been such a good kind of grit player on both ends of the floor. that you missed them. And in the second half, Tennessee out-rebounded you by like 12 and ended up being able to close that. I mean, you still had a slow start to the second half. That's been a theme for this team all year. Oh, you're up 10. Oh, pretty soon you're not up at all because you don't come out of the locker room in the second half and continue to play. So team is still extremely frustrating to me because the talent is evident throughout the roster. Are they the best team in the country talent-wise? No, but they are pretty talented. And they do have a lot of tools. I just don't think the team has lived up to exactly what the expectations were to this point. I still think that they can get things together. But the sands, the sand in the hourglass is starting to run out on time for this team to put things together. Now, Charles Bediako was really, really nice on the offensive end with 13 points and rolling to the rim and two-hand dunking to the rim. But again, Charles didn't give you anything on the glass, though. What, 3 rebounds?
3 rebounds.
So not dominant in that aspect at all. Tennessee really in the second half bullied you on the glass, and Alabama's big Achilles heel ended up costing them another game.
Yeah, rebounding was pretty horrendous across the board. Alabama now, in 5 of its 6 losses, has been out-rebounded by double figures, which that sums it up pretty well right there. I mean, you see it time and time again where Alabama just cannot hang on the glass, and I'm almost willing to be a little more lenient on that than the other stuff, purely because, yeah, we talked about, Bediako won't need any adjustment. Like, yeah, okay, there'll be a little bit of an adjustment. There'll be a little bit of, guys are learning. Amari Allen is a guy that I do anticipate being available, which is, you can't really do that with this team, but I do anticipate him being out there, and he is just such a phenomenal rebounder. So I think rebounding, we'll have a little bit of hope that could improve, but overall, I think my expectations on this team have been tempered for a little while. Bediako does raise the ceiling if he's playing full-time. We'll have a pretty crazy show on Wednesday breaking down the fallout of whatever is announced on Tuesday plus the game. But, I look at the calendar, right? The Sweet 16 starts 2 months from now on the dot. I do not think Alabama will be playing in it.
Ooh.
I do not. I think this team is just
getting beat in the round of 32?
I think it is flawed beyond reasonable repair. And we know that with these players, Alabama can have one of those nights where it goes out and it cannot miss, and everything's falling and everything's going right. And he can do that against just about anyone in the country. You could go on a Final Four run. You could go and lose to Liberty in the first round also. They're a good mid-major that plays team basketball, that doesn't make the mistakes, that catches Alabama on a night when, someone is a little 50-50. I don't know if he'll play. And, wow, this team's missing all these free throws. And, yeah, okay, you're grabbing more rebounds because it's against a mid-major, but you're not doing a great job there. You do enough to leave them in, and all of a sudden, you're the first-round upset that everyone's talking about. I could really see that being how this one ends for the 2026 Alabama Crimson Tide.
I don't have any real reason to say you're wrong, Theo, because I think it's on the my gut says they get to the Sweet 16 and loses. But if the ceiling right now is the Sweet 16, well, then you probably have a good chance of losing in the round of 32. And that'd be crazy. That'd be crazy. That'd be pretty disappointing if the team didn't make the round of the Sweet 16 round in the NCAA tournament.
Yes, it would be. And look, this is just, we came in, and even through the non-conference losses, Alabama was basically viewed as the SEC favorite, right? Entering conference play, and Florida's improved Florida, I think, is the best team in the conference. A&M and Buckyball is phenomenal, man. They put up 92 on South Carolina, which just about anyone would, but still, that is a great performance. I think that Alabama is – I'm waving the white flag on any SEC recognition, either a regular season title or a conference title. I do not think we'll see that at all. I think the top of the conference has recovered enough to say, yeah, okay, there's some real teams up there. And, I mean, the road, you got some tough games. Mizzou is not a bad basketball team. They're not as bad as they looked earlier on. Alabama should win that game. It feels like a must-win. I don't know that they will. It really does feel like a must-win to me as far as, you're kind of just reeling right now. Lost 3 of 4. If you go in and lose to this Mizzou team.
3 of 5.
You lost 3 of 5?
Yeah.
Okay, I was off on that, huh?
Vandy, Texas, and Tennessee, you lost. You beat Mississippi State and Oklahoma.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about the Mississippi State win. So, yeah, you've lost 3 of 5. Losing 4 of 6 doesn't sound all that good, does it?
No, it doesn't. Big game tomorrow night in Coleman Coliseum. The game has been moved to 7 o'clock. It has been moved from 8 p.m. to 7 o'clock, which I personally love.
Yeah.
We'll get it an hour earlier, and there will be a lot of drama. We're going to hear from Nate Oates at 1 p.m. today. He's going to give his press conference. He'll probably say the whole team is healthy, and then tonight when the availability report comes out, half the team will be on it. So that's going to be the way that will go, but you will still be able to hear the Nate Oates press conference at 1 o'clock. We'll put it on the Bama Central YouTube channel, so probably look for it about 1:15 or so. It'll be right there on our YouTube channel. Theo, that's about all I've got for the day. Disappointing on Saturday, exciting on the football side of things with the offensive line coach. A new offensive line coach will be able to get to know someone new, but a mixture of emotions after the weekend. Anything else you got for the people today before we get out of here? And there's no sledding today, no sledding for you in Tuscaloosa, no snow for you to enjoy, but you're going to make yourself some tomato soup. You're going to make yourself some beef stew, some chili. You're going to do something cold weather related.
Yeah, this was one of the first days of the year where it's New York cold, where I'm legitimately cold outside, but then I don't get snow to enjoy. Like, that's usually the plus of that, man. I'm still adjusting to these Alabama winters. I'm not a fan. It's just you got to commit. You got to if you're going to be cold, you need to give us the snow too. Disappointing, but it's going to be it's going to hit like 15 degrees tonight, which is just crazy. That is cold for down here. Final note on the show. Jalen Milroe, NFC champion. He did it. Year 1. All the doubters, that said he wouldn't get anything done. There he is, right alongside Robbie Uchis. So there are a lot of Bama players in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, are you way too early prediction, but are you taking Seahawks to roll big?
I am. I'm going to Seattle by a lot right now. I think that we watched the Super Bowl last night between Seattle and LA.
Yeah, and as much fun as it would have been for the Bears to have won last week, I don't think that we would have gotten past this round with Seattle either. I think the Rams probably gave them their best shot and gave them – it was a good game. It was a really good game. I enjoyed watching the Patriots and Broncos as well in the snow. It was crazy to see how – the weather changed through the game. Clear in the first 2 quarters, and then just a freaking blizzard. The last quarter and a half was pretty cool to watch. Maybe a little disappointing that the Broncos had to play with one arm behind their back, but still a fun championship Sunday in the NFL, and we'll watch our Alabama players compete in the Super Bowl. You got Christian Barmore and who else on the Patriots side? Christian Barmore, Anthony Jennings. Anthony
Jennings says he had a sack in that divisional round, so he was good there. CJ Dupree is technically on the roster, doesn't play. And anyone else?
How interesting for CJ Dupree and Robbie Oots, 2 guys on the team last year playing the same position, that will now go up against each other. Technically, I don't think CJ is going to be playing too much, but technically, their two teams will be going against each other for the Super Bowl. Pretty. I don't know. I find that interesting.
Oh, Jaron Reed too for Seattle is on the roster. And, hey, Robbie Utes plays. I mean, you guys have seen him throughout. He got lit up last week on a play. But no, he's had some nice moments for Seattle. So maybe he can go out there, make some plays, and we're talking about Robbie Utes, Super Bowl clutch performer.
Jalen Milroe, anytime touchdown, the Jalen Milroe package to break the game open.
Yeah, Jalen Milroe gets on the field in the fourth quarter if Seattle's up by enough. That'd be pretty awesome.
That would be wild, and I would love that for him, as that would just be another great moment for his story. Theo, let's get out of here for the day. You can follow Theo Fernandez at Theo Fernandez _. Myself at Joe Gaither 6. Leave us a voicemail at 205-462-7340 extension 800. Leave us a comment in the Bama Central YouTube channel and the Bama Central Facebook page. We'll check you out right there as well, and we will talk to you on Monday, on Tuesday. This is Monday. Enjoy your Monday. We'll talk to you on Tuesday on the Joe Gaither Show on Bama Central, BamaCentral.com.
Thanks for joining us on today's edition of the Joe Gaither Show on Bama Central. Keep up with Joe on all his social media pages at Joe Gaither 6. Subscribe, rate, and review the show on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, and be sure to read us daily at BamaCentral.com.